You're listening to Pombo and Peter's Picks, the home of your favorite sports betting podcast, presented by The Daily Goat.
Hello and welcome to Pombo and Peter's Picks, episode number 8. I'm Jason Pombo alongside Peter Alves. How you doing today, Peter?
What up? Pretty good.
What up, what up, what up?
Hell yeah.
How was your weekend?
Pretty good. Love. Happy Valentine's Day. Macy Barber broke my heart. She literally sucks.
I was just going to segue into that. I'm sure you had a great Valentine's Day with your girlfriend, doing all this fun stuff together. And then sure enough, Macy Barber, the UFC fighter, your favorite UFC fighter, the girl of your dreams, absolutely shreds you and loses.
I was meant to cry on air. Don't have any tears right now. All used on Saturday. Yeah, she was shadowboxing in the ring. Not a good look for her. Got knocked out by Grasso. Definitely not a good look for her. And she's still chirping for a title shot. Like, why don't you win first?
You were very confident in the Macy Barber pick. That was your premium pick of the week last week. Obviously did not come to fruition as you took the L with that. But you're not alone with taking L's. My Daytona 500 winner, Chase Elliott, finished second.
Yeah, almost won. That was crazy.
Almost won. So, I mean, obviously a loss in the books, but I categorize that as a win because NASCAR, there's 40 cars. Like, my guy finished second, so I was pretty content with that. Obviously, that wreck on the last lap gave Elliott a chance, but he did not pull it off. He ended up finishing second, and then I also lost the Macy Barber pick, but I was right about the Lakers winning this past Friday night over the Grizzlies. But I was a little worried about that pick because the Grizzlies started off in like a 23-2 run. I don't know if you knew that or not, but at the end of the first quarter.
I bet the Lakers plus 6.5, like live bet, because I was in New Hampshire.
That game, the Grizzlies came out flying, and I was like, oh, crap. I'm going to be 0-3. But I ended up pedestrian 1-2 for this past week.
It's all right. I went 2-1. The Suns beat the Magic, and the Bruins beat the Rangers. And as you said, my girl, what a cutie. Stupid loser. Macy Barber lost.
When's her next fight? Any word on that, you think?
I don't know. Probably in a few months or so. They usually take like 5-6 months.
We got to make shirts with that picture of you and Macy Barber in a heart. We got to get shirts like that.
Oh, merch really coming. Cool. Oh, yeah. You're
welcome. That'd be funny as hell. For the next fight she's in, that'd be great. Hopefully she gets a chance to win the title and gives you an opportunity to sew back your heart together.
I mean, whatever fight she's fighting in, I'm just going to root for her hard.
Whatever it is, it is. I wanted to start off the show by talking about a little bit of NBA. I want to start off with the Celtics, who for the better part of 2 weeks have been really struggling. Obviously, they won last night. They defeated the Denver Nuggets after losing this past weekend against the lonely Washington Wizards, getting beat down on Valentine's Day, a really ugly game, and then they lost also last Friday. So the Celtics have really been struggling. Granted, like I just mentioned, they won on Monday night. What's your takeaways for the Celtics here? Are you worried about them long-term?
Long-term as in this year or long-term as in
long-term this year? So, because I know that was your pick to come out of the East, correct?
Yeah, I'm pretty worried about that. They have no depth. Marcus Smart going out pretty hurts. And Kemba Walker is literally been nobody now. He can't shoot. He's literally chucking up threes like Marcus Smart. I think he's broken. That knee is an absolute problem. Peyton Richard, your guy.
Peyton Pritchard, my guy.
Minutes. Yeah. And they have no depth, like I said. Grant Williams shouldn't be playing. Semi Ojeleye shouldn't be playing as much as he did. Brad loves his rotations. His rotations. And not a hot take, but he might get canned. It's getting really bad.
I don't think it's on Stevens personally.
I don't know. They're tuning him out, though. Jason Tatum's like, I don't care. I'm not going to try.
So if we take a big picture microscope of how the offseason went, obviously you lost Gordon Hayward, Danny Ainge, failed to get a return back, which I ended up feeling that was a big deal. They signed Jeff Teague in the offseason, let Brad Wanamaker go. That ended up being a bad decision. Jeff Teague has sucked. And Brad Wanamaker was a better player, believe it or not. That tells you how bad Jeff Teague has been. They signed Tristan Thompson. He's been inconsistent. He's been great on the glass, but he's struggled at times defensively. Jokic pretty much ate his lunch last night on Monday night. So I'm not a huge Tristan Thompson fan, and Teague hasn't panned out. So I think it was more on the offseason. Aaron Nesmith hasn't gotten much of an opportunity. Granted, he played a lot on Monday night. He was a plus 20 in the game, and then on Sunday he was a plus 10. But other than that, Nesmith hasn't gotten many minutes. Like you alluded to before, Marcus Smart, the injury, Kemba Walker, in my opinion, I don't think he'll ever be the same. I think that knee injury is real.
He
I
had
think
to
it's
play in the
legitimate.
All-Star game. He had to play in the All-Star
That's where
game.
it started. I think Kemba Walker's in some serious trouble long term. For the season anyway that we're talking about, I still think I picked Brooklyn to come out of the East. I'm going to stand by that. Philadelphia has been the better team, not as of late because they've sucked recently, but throughout this entire season. The Bucks are also having a little bit of a rough campaign, so I think the Celtics have a shot, but I wouldn't personally. I wouldn't go anywhere near it. I still think the Celtics team has a long way to go.
Well, look at the 76ers with Doc Rivers, right? Brent Brown shut him out. Joel Embiid, Ben Simmons. They had to make a change. I think Tatum's doing the exact same thing to Brad Stevens. Telling you, he's quitting in the middle of games.
It's possible. He had 6 points on Valentine's Day against the Wizards. A really bad effort. I still think Brad is respected in that locker room. I think this is just a little rough phase. I'm curious to see how it looks when Marcus Smart comes back. And one thing that I think Stevens does deserve criticism for is the rotation thing. He's been giving guys 9, 10 guys minutes a night. So on Monday night, he tightened up his rotation and I think it was only 3 or 4 guys got actual minutes off the bench. It was my guy Peyton Pritchard. It was Rob Williams. It was Neesmith. And then I believe it was Javonte Green. So guys like Jeff Teague did not get any minutes. Grant Williams did not get any minutes. And I think if the Celtics want to go far, they need to keep their rotation tight and stop giving Grant Williams minutes when he doesn't deserve it. Stop giving Jeff Teague minutes when they don't deserve it. I think Stevens needs to tighten up. This is a big week for the Celtics. The Celtics play Friday against the Atlanta Hawks. That'll be a tough game. They have a rough stretch next week, too. They have to go to New Orleans, take on the Pelicans. They have Dallas coming up, Indiana. So the Celtics team will be tested. I'm still not in love with them to come out of the East. In terms of their long-term future, I still think they're going to be a good team in the East for a very long time. I think Jason Tatum's a bona fide stud. I think Jaylen Brown is an all-star this year. Now, to find that missing piece will be
They got to get
real
lucky
question.
in the draft, though. There's no more picks coming in.
Yeah,
They're
need
banking on Tatum and Brown to be a top 10 player.
Yeah, that's pretty much what it is. And I think Brown has been suppressed my expectations, in my opinion. I think Brown was going to be an all-star this year. He's been great. Now, transitioning from the Celtics, we're going to go to their rival in the West, Anthony Davis. He, unfortunately, has been dealing with an injury, and it's going to sideline him for about 3 to 4 weeks. How do you feel about the Lakers? Does the injury concern you? Do you think LeBron can really do it all himself? If this injury for Anthony Davis lingers on for a long period of time, are the Lakers in danger here of being overtaken by a team like, I don't know, the Clippers or the Jazz?
I mean, you see him in the East all the time. He carries teams that shouldn't even be in the playoffs. So there's no problem. And LeBron, and you said that it's a 3 to 4 week injury. So they can literally just coast. I don't care. They're 3 seed right now or something like that. They can drop down to 6, 7 and then ramp it up in the playoffs. If you have LeBron, you're going to the Western Conference Finals, like guaranteed.
Yeah, no, I agree with you on that take. I think so. Anthony Davis dealing with the calf sprain. It's something that could linger for sure. Now, here's one thing that I will say, and I think Stephen A. Smith of ESPN's First Take alluded to it. I do think the Lakers will need a fully healthy Anthony Davis to come out of the West. If he's not 100%, then I don't love the Lakers' chances. Clippers are playing better recently. The Jazz, who we're going to talk about later, are freaking unbelievable. But if Davis is coming in hobbled, I think the Lakers could get upset in the Western Conference Finals. I think that's a possibility. But
yeah, the West is really hard this year. Yeah. But
at the minimum, they'll be there.
Yeah, I agree. If you have LeBron and he's healthy all the way through, you know he ramps it up. I know he dogs it in the beginning of the season because he plays all year anyway. But if you have LeBron James, the best player in the world, it's all you need, really. He brought like the Cavs teams that shouldn't even be in the playoffs.
In this Lakers team, granted, Davis is awesome. Like, Davis is arguably the best big man in the NBA. The Lakers have some good pieces around him. You know, Kuzma's a good piece off the bench. Schroeder's been pretty good this year at times. So, like, they still have a decent amount of pieces to really make a playoff effort. But I do think a Davis at 100% to win the thing, to repeat. If he's not, then I think the Lakers will be in trouble at the end. Now, sticking with the Western Conference here, what do you think of the Utah Jazz? So, look, the Utah Jazz, a team that's they made the playoffs the last couple of years. Donovan Mitchell's been one of the best young players in the NBA. Rudy Gobert's been one of the best big men in the NBA. They have some role players. They've really put it all together this season and are really looking like the most complete team in the NBA. Are they for real to you?
It's crazy. I don't know because they keep on winning and they keep blowing teams away. I think they have a little luck factor, but they look like a real dangerous threat in the Western Conference. I don't even know how they're doing it either.
Mitchell's been great. Gobert's been great. Like they've had some contributions everywhere. Mike Conley, like they've been awesome. So
Well, Mike Conley's been out for a while. I haven't
yeah,
been fantasy.
he's been out for the last couple of weeks, but he was having was he doing good for you with fantasy before then?
Yeah.
But that's another thing that you to really put together here is even with Conley out, the Jazz are still freaking winning.
They just keep on rolling. 9-1 in the last 10 games, 8-game winning streak. It's crazy.
They're awesome. And then even before the 8-game win streak, weren't they on like a 13-game win streak or a 14-game win streak or something like that?
Insane.
It's insane. The Jazz are legit. Now, it would certainly be something if they were to come out of the Western Conference and win the thing. Because typically in the NBA anyway, it's a superstar-driven league. You need a top 5, top 10 player to win the thing. Now, Donovan Mitchell's a good player, star, but he's no Anthony Davis, LeBron. No. He's not Kyrie, Harden, Durant. He's not in that category. Now, if the Jazz are really going to replicate a team like the Dallas Mavericks did like a decade ago when they beat LeBron's Heat in the finals, I would be really impressed with this Jazz team. Quinn Snyder's been awesome as the coach down there. Utah's for real. I'm very curious to see how this unfolds in the playoffs.
Yeah, hopefully they can just keep on rolling, but it's got to stop eventually. It's got to come down to earth.
You would think so, right? It just hasn't yet.
I know. It's crazy.
It's really crazy. The Jazz are a team to look out for, in my opinion. All right, so let's transition now to Major League Baseball here. So spring training started yesterday. The long-awaited return to the diamond. Baseball is officially back, Peter. Are you excited?
Let's go. My favorite sport. Probably shouldn't be because it's an absolute boringest. But yeah, I'm hyped. I'm a huge baseball guy. Truck Day was last episode. There you go, Matt. Truck Day, 2 weeks in a row.
Matt was there. He was loading up the truck.
Yeah, he was Tessie, just driving it.
Like I just said, Major League Baseball, the MLB is back. A long-awaited return. So we have some topics we're going to talk about here. So first, let's break down this Andrew Benintendi trade. So the Red Sox, obviously, last week decided to go in a different direction. They ended up dealing Andrew Benintendi to the Kansas City Royals. The Red Sox received outfielder Franchi Cordero and 2 players to be named later from the Kansas City Royals. They also received Josh Winachowski.
Yep.
And from the Mets, and a player to be named later. And the Mets received Khalil Lee from Kansas City. Looked like the Red Sox, with the offseason winding down, looks like their offseason is basically done. It seems like everything's in place now. Were you taken aback by this Benintendi trade? Were you surprised?
Yeah, I hate this trade. They literally got nothing for him. They shouldn't have traded him this year because his value is absolute crap. And I didn't know. I know we have Chaim Bloom, but I didn't know that we're going to be the Tampa Bay Red Sox. Just not be able to sign anybody. You had arbitration for Benintendi next year too, so he could just rack it up. But even if you want to trade him next year,
so here's my thing on the Benintendi trade. I agree with you. His value couldn't be lower. Obviously, he's coming off a year where he batted 103, 102, whatever it was. Terrible. But nonetheless, here I think Chaim Bloom is working this way because he's being told to by ownership. He's not purposely like, let's find these.
John Henry should be fired. You get literally
the owner. You can't fire the owner. You can't fire the owner.
I don't care. Tell him to resign. Tell him to sell the team. It doesn't matter.
I think this is an ownership philosophy thing that they're going to obviously reset in a year. And I think they're taking the time where obviously there's no fans to really take a step back now. Let's get some younger talent here. Let's moved on from Mookie Betts. Jackie Bradley's likely going to walk in free agency. Benintendi's gone. Obviously, they're turning the page now. And I think it's an ownership thing. I don't think Chaim Bloom's like, screw it. I'm just not going to spend money because I didn't in Tampa Bay. I just think this is an ownership thing because trust me, if John Henry and the ownership group wanted to spend, they'd spend. We've look at the Hanley Ramirez offseason, Pablo Sandoval.
They're still the second most.
I think it's 4th payroll, right? Yeah, they make a lot of money. Like that's clear. That's 100% right.
And
I just don't think it's on
nobody on the diamond. You're paying Chris Sale injured. I know you had to do it. Valdi $17 million. No, you had to do it. You're paying nobody. You're paying for people that aren't even on the team anymore.
So the ownership and past general managers regimes have made some mistakes. That's obvious. I think the Red Sox have spent unnecessary money at times. I think we both can agree with that. Sandoval contract sticks out quite a bit. The Red Sox ended up having to get rid of the David Price contract. they've had to move on from a couple different pieces. I'm sure there's a lot more here. Obviously, they're still paying Benintendi. There's a lot of different elements here. Now, to transition here is what percent chance do you give the Red Sox of making the postseason?
Oh, you're gonna go into this of Fantrax, but not a 47% chance. How do you go from maybe Bradley's gonna come back. I think he's actually gonna come back. But how do you go from Bradley Benintendi Betts to Hunter Renfroe, Alex Verdugo, and Frankie Cordero? That's absolutely disgusting.
So what would you what's your percent?
Maybe like less than 10. They have no pitching.
I think less than 10's low. So like Peter
Really, they have no
alluded to,
pitching still though. Chris Sale's not gonna come back till June, July, the earliest.
So who would you put in the AL over the Red Sox?
I mean, Yankees, Astros,
Yep.
White Sox, Twins.
I agree.
Toronto, maybe. Love
That's-
that team.
That's, I think, where the Red Sox are going to be competing here was with the Torontos and Chicagos of the world. So like you just mentioned, Fangraphs, on Tuesday, they released their postseason odds, right? They crunched the numbers and we'll give you all these odds here. So let's start off with the AL East. The Yankees, 91.6% are the favorite to win the division. Second is Toronto, 53.6%. Third is the Red Sox at 47%. Fourth is the Tampa Bay Rays at 18.6%. And then fifth, finally, the Baltimore Orioles at a whopping 0.0% chance to make the playoffs. I'll repeat. Fangraphs has given the Baltimore Orioles a 0.0% chance to make the playoffs.
I don't get how that's even possible. You're starting on a level playing field. I know everybody's different. Everybody has a different team, obviously. You could be the Dodgers or you could be the Rockies, but you're still starting 0-0, 162 games right out of the gate. You got to put them at least a 0.1%. Even the Rockies you'll get later, or like the Marlins have a 0.7%. The Rockies have a 0.1%. You got to give them at least 0.1.
I agree. And I think Tampa Bay's a little low. I know they dealt off some talent here, but 18.6% just seems a little low for them. I don't know. Just from history backing me up on my side here is that Tampa Bay finds a way to make it work. Now, I think other than that, I don't have a huge issue. I was a little surprised, like you said, with the Red Sox at 47%. I thought they'd be closer to 4D%, maybe 38%, and I thought Tampa Bay would make up the rest of that. Now, let's transition to the AL Central here. The Minnesota Twins are favored at 65.5%. The White Sox are second at 60.5%. The third is the Cleveland Indians, 17.4%. Fourth is the Kansas City Royals at 10.1%. And then fifth is the Detroit Tigers at 2%. Do you have any issue with that?
No, it really makes sense. I love the White Sox this year. I think they should be first, but the Indians with 17.4%, they're going to have a drastic drop off. They lost all their pieces. They don't have all their pitchers anymore. They don't have Lindor anymore. They don't have Brantley anymore. So they're going to maybe not rebuild, but have a step back this year and not be on the top like they usually are.
I agree with you. And I like Chicago a lot. Like, I think Chicago is one of those up and coming teams. Now, we'll see how it all shakes out in that division. Minnesota, obviously, same kind of thing. I agree with you. The Indians are a little too high at 17.4%, my opinion anyway. But I'm curious to see what happens with the White Sox. They have a new manager down there now that's been making headlines, to say the least.
Yeah, pretty bad. They could have got Alex Cora. Just saying.
They were rumored to get Alex Cora. Didn't end up coming to fruition. But nonetheless, I still like the White Sox here. I still think Tony La Russa, we'll see what he has left to give here. Now let's transition to the AL West here. Houston Astros are the favorite at 71.4%. Second is the Angels at 37.8%. Third is the Oakland A's at 21.8%. Fourth is the Seattle Mariners, 1.7%. And then fifth, the Texas Rangers at a huge 0.8%. What do you think of the AL West?
I mean, I don't really like the Astros, but you look at all the talent on that team, even though they cheated and Jose Altuve literally sucks now. But you still have a Jose Altuve. You still have Justin Verlander, the best pitcher I've ever seen in my life.
When's he gonna come back? Is he coming back midway through, you'd think?
I don't know, but maybe
He'll be back at some point.
Yeah, Zach Greinke, you still have him. Like, there's still a bunch of talent on that team. Correa.
They lost Springer.
Bregman. Yeah, but I just don't know who to put on the top of that team. I mean, the Angels are real interesting, but I think that's a bad franchise. I'll never, ever win anything, and Mike Trout's a loser for staying there.
I think the A's are good value at 21.8%. They've added some help in the bullpen. I wouldn't be surprised if Oakland made its way into playoff conversations here. I like that roster. I always have. Granted, Billy Beane is no longer there now. We'll see how things go there. Moving on to the NL side of things. We'll start off with the NL East. The New York Mets favored 81.2%. Second, the Atlanta Braves 67.8%. Third, the Washington Nationals 24.6%. Fourth, the Philadelphia Phillies at 13.4%. And then fifth, the Marlins of Miami 0.7%. What do you think of the NL East?
I love the Atlanta Braves. And whatever number the Mets are, like their win
81,
total or whatever.
81.2.
No, but like what we'll
Oh,
get
win
down
total.
the line. The win total, I'm betting the under. They're a way overhyped team. And they're the stupid Mets, for God's sake. Like,
So you think
they're going to fizzle out. They're going to be like the Phillies when they signed Bryce Harper. They're going to be like the Cubs and just fizzle out. I don't think they're going to be hyped.
When it comes to the Mets, they just got to stay healthy. I think if their pitching can stay healthy, they can make a run. And now that's a big if. They've obviously dealt with some injury concerns over the last couple of years. Obviously, they added Lindor, which would be a big help for that offense. I'm okay with that order. I don't have too much of an issue with all five. The Marlins getting zero respect. Maybe they deserve a little bit more.
Hey, they were in the playoffs last year.
Give them 3%, give them 4%. You know, I think they deserve maybe a little bit more. Moving on to the NL Central. The Cardinals are favored at 36.2%. Second is the Brewers at 35.4%. Third is the Chicago Cubs at 21.8%. Fourth is the Cincinnati Reds at 18.7%. Fifth, Pittsburgh Pirates at 0.4%.
I don't know why they're fourth on that list, but I don't know why the Reds are that high. And like I said, when Arenado got traded to the Cardinals, I love the Cardinals. Even the Brewers and the Cubs, they've made some splashes, but I don't, like I said, understand why the Reds are 18.7%, like you said.
So that division, it's weird how it's made up.
It's always so tough, though.
And I think Fangraphs doesn't really have a fantastic read on it because you look at the rest of the division winners, they're all above 16%. And the Cardinals, they gave about a 36% chance. So I don't want to say they think it's going to be an open race, but I think they're not confident with the St. Louis Cardinals.
You have the Brewers making a run and the Cubs.
The Brewers seem like they're always there. And obviously the Cubs are retooling. I think they're going to be more on the decline and the incline, but we'll see. I do think St. Louis should be favored, especially after the Arenado trade.
I agree.
Moving on now to the NL West. In my opinion, this will be the most fascinating division in baseball. The Dodgers are favored at 96.7%. Second is the San Diego Padres at 92.9%. Third is the San Francisco Giants at 7.9%. Fourth is the Arizona Diamondbacks at 2.1%. Fifth, Colorado Rockies at 0.1%. What do you think of the NL West?
I love the Padres, but they're never. I wouldn't say never because anything can happen, but nobody's going to touch the Dodgers this year. It's literally a super team. And like I said before with the Orioles having a 0%, if you're going to give 0% for the Orioles, why don't you give 0% for the Rockies? So look at that division. You're not going to touch the Padres or the Dodgers. So why do you even give them a 0.1% chance?
Yeah, that division, two-team race. I think we both agree with the San Diego Padres and the Dodgers. Both teams, in my opinion, could get to the World Series if they can stay healthy, if things fall correctly for them. But I think that's going to be really fascinating because I think they're going to be back and forth all season long. I think that's going to be one of the best rivalries in baseball. I'm excited for that division, but I don't have an issue with that. I agree with you that those other three teams virtually have no shot.
Yeah, I feel bad for them. Sorry.
You know, it's just tough break. You're in a division where two heavyweights are going to be going at it for the next 3 to 5 years. Any final baseball topics? We're going to have our baseball preview in a few weeks. We'll be able to give all the listeners our picks for MVP, our World Series picks, our division winners, all that fun stuff will be coming up in the next couple weeks. So stay tuned for that.
Fire John Henry. Ha, 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 ha.
Fire John Henry. John Henry, he says, as the guy that writes the checks. We're going to move on to football now. Start off with J.J. Watt here. So J.J. Watt, a longtime Houston Texan defensive end, 3-time Defensive Player of the Year, was released by the Houston Texans last week. And we're going to discuss where he could potentially land up for the 2021 season. So I pulled up some odds from pointsbet.com, a betting site, where they think J.J. Watt could potentially land. So I'm going to read you the odds, Peter, and then give me your prediction and then give me your long shot. Favorite is the Cleveland Browns at plus 200. Then it's the Pittsburgh Steelers at plus 300. Then it's the Packers at plus 350. Then it's the defending Super Bowl champion Tampa Bay Bucks at plus 600. Then it's the Buffalo Bills at plus 600, Ravens plus 1,000, Patriots plus 1,200, Cowboys plus 1,400, Colts plus 1,400, Rams plus 1,600, 49ers plus 1,600, Dolphins plus 1,800, Titans plus 1,800, Bears plus 2,000. What do you think for the future of J.J. Watt, Peter?
So before I say my pick, I just wanted to say, why did the Texans not trade him to
Okay,
whatever team he wanted to play for? I know they're boys on both sides, but you could have got something for him.
I really don't think you can. His salary was absurd. He was supposed to make $17.5 million. He was going to fit for the cap at 17.5 in 2021. With the cap going down, that's an absurd number.
You couldn't get anything though, even if you
really
eat money on
couldn't.
both sides or whatever you had to do.
You need a sixth round pick, seventh round. You're really not going to get that much. Like, if the contract was a lot lower, then I agree with you. But that contract is really bad. Watt has a plethora of injury history throughout the last couple of years. I know everyone wants to get on the Texans, but I'm not going to get on him for this one personally. Again, Watt's only played in more than 8 games twice in the last 5 seasons, making $17.5 million next year. In the Texans, they save over $17 million if they release him. I think it was the most logical decision to cut him. Either that or you're going to get like a 7th round pick for him.
Another side note, Watson's pissed. It was that easy to get rid of the
Screw
Texans.
Watson.
But-
Enjoy Houston.
Yeah, forever. Yeah, but my pick, just on a whim, is the Steelers plus 300, just because of TJ Watt. TJ Watt's going to be like, come on, JJ, we've always wanted to play together. Me on one side, you on the other. Who can stop us? And honestly, that would be so scary.
Okay, so my pick here, it's a long shot here. I'm going with the Tennessee Titans at plus 1,800. I know it seems like a long shot, but I think it makes sense. I think J.J. Watt fits in that scheme pretty well. It's a 4-3 scheme. The Titans statistically were one of the 5 worst defenses in the NFL. They weren't able to generate much of a pass rush. They signed Jadeveon Clowney last year. It didn't really work out too well. J.J. Watt is familiar with head coach of the Tennessee Titans, Mike Vrabel. He was the defensive coordinator with the Texans for a couple of years, and J.J. Watt spoke very highly of him during his tenure there. I think it makes sense, and he's able to stick it to the Texans, same division, and it allows him to compete for a Super Bowl. But I also think Pittsburgh's a good option at plus 300. I think Green Bay is another option, a good option at plus 350. Like you mentioned, playing with his brother TJ would probably be very appealing to him. And if he goes to Pittsburgh, he won't have to deal with any double teams, and I think that's also very appealing to him. Green Bay plus 350. He's from there. He went to college in Wisconsin. I think that's an option. I think Cleveland a plus 200, which is currently the favorite, also makes some sense.
That'd be crazy too. Myles Garrett and J.J. Watt.
Yeah. Cleveland has some money too. They have over $20 million in cap space. They could give him a significant salary. If he fits the scheme well, contend for a Super Bowl. Myles Garrett deals with the double teams. I think that's another appealing thing. But ultimately, I think he goes to Tennessee.
And my long shot is the Rams plus 1,600, just because I want to see him with McVay, with an actual coach.
With
That would be
Aaron Donald on the other side of him.
Yeah, honestly, amazing. There's no way you can stop him.
That would be insane. I would really be intrigued to see that. Now, I do think Watt's going to sign rather quickly. I do think he's probably going to sign within the next couple weeks would be my guess. But this is absolutely something to monitor within the next couple weeks.
And I'll tell you for this certain, Patriots plus 1,200 should not even be on this list. They would never sign J.J. Watt.
Now, would you sign J.J. Watt for, let's say he wants $12 million. Let's say he wants 2 years, $24 million, $12 million a year. Would you take him?
Yeah, I mean, I know he has injury risk, like you said, but you could see the potential. And if you pair him up, if you're the Steelers, the Rams, like you said, if somebody else is on the other side and you don't have to double team him, it's a no-brainer.
It depends on the situation. He works in some situations and some schemes, and others he doesn't. If you're a team like the Green Bay Packers where you're a couple pieces away from a Super Bowl, that makes a lot of sense. He could be the missing piece for you. Same thing with the Cleveland Browns, same thing. But if you're a team like, I don't know, like Miami at plus 1,800, does J.J. Watt really move the needle for you?
No, you got to get another quarterback first.
That's going to send us another text now. Like Chicago plus 2,000, you have more offensive issues than defensive issues.
That'd be crazy too. Khalil Mack and J.J. Watt.
I just don't think it would make too much sense from a money portion of it. When you're already paying Khalil Mack up the nose, you're paying Akeem Hicks up the nose. Now you're going to spend J.J. Watt a lot of money. I don't know. I think, for me anyway, Tennessee, Cleveland, Pittsburgh, Green Bay. I'd love to see him in Pittsburgh. Like, I think that would be a really cool story.
That'd be amazing. I mean, like I said, T.J. Watt.
That would be a really cool story. Really cool story. We'll see how it shakes out. Now, Peter, we're going to get into some interesting NFL topics. Now, did you see the lady that was pissed about Tom Brady throwing the Super Bowl trophy from boat to boat
Yeah,
during the Tampa Bay
what
Bucks?
a Karen. Come on. Are you serious? Wait, you gotta answer me this though. Did she? Well, I know her like dad created it, right?
Something like that.
But is it like the whole thing, like the whole years, or is it
I don't.
just this year? If it's this year, I don't
I
have a gripe, but
So it's weird. It's a little bit of background. This lady, I can't even remember her name. Let's call her Karen for now. Karen was mad that during the Bucks parade, Tom Brady threw the Super Bowl trophy, the Lombardi trophy, from his boat to another boat. Now, Cameron Brate made a nice catch in the ball. It did not, I mean, the ball, I'm sorry. The trophy did not sink 80 feet down wherever they were in the water, which would have been a severe issue. But
no,
nonetheless,
one of them would have got it.
somebody would have got it, but Cameron Brate caught it.
Brady would have been like Gronk, go in, and he
They
would have been
had
like,
some.
all right.
They would have had some scuba divers. They would have been all set. But nonetheless, she was very unhappy that the trophy was being handled this way because her family spent a lot of care and time into this Lombardi trophy. Now, my one comment would be, did you see Gronk use the trophy as a baseball bat?
That's what I was going to say. That's
Fenway?
why I asked if she was like the overall, because if she didn't complain about that and it's absolutely dented, you can go see it at Patriot.
If you want to,
yeah. Come on, really?
If you want to complain, I understand it, but at least be consistent with your complaints. I think what Gronk did was probably 10 times worse. He dented the damn thing.
Yeah, you can see it. Like I said, Patriot Place, the whole thing, a baseball.
Like Brady, I'm sure, like, if it went in the water, like, okay, that's one thing, but it didn't. Gronk actually dented the trophy. Like, there is a legitimate dent in it. I don't understand how you can be upset about the Brady what if story instead of the Gronk that actually happened story.
Maybe she's a Chiefs fan and she's just salty.
Maybe just salty. But I felt like that was pretty interesting. Another football topic I want to get to, Peter. Did you take a look at new football league called fan-controlled football?
I did. Go Johnny Manziel.
So Johnny Manziel's in it. Basically another startup league, kind of like the XFL, AAF. It's a little bit different because the fans can buy ownership, like stakes in it. You can buy like 1.5% of the team, and you can have the ability to call plays from a fan's perspective anyway, which is an interesting wrinkle.
Wait, you can?
Yes.
Side note, Bo Sox Mom has bought a 1.5 share of Johnny Manziel's team.
Do you guys end up doing
that?
So
we're saying you can call plays?
Yeah, I don't know how you do. Like, I don't know.
Oh, we're going to be like Madden. That's amazing. All right, sorry.
Now, basically kind of like Madden. Do you take this football league serious, or do you think it's more just kind of like
I don't know. It's going to probably flop. If you see in the AAF, they couldn't even generate revenue. And the XFL with Vince McMahon behind it actually flopped too. I don't see anything. Obviously, they won't beat the NFL, but I know they want to do football all year round. And the NFL is doing a good job with that too. The offseason, combine, all that stuff, draft, making it a full-time sport. But I don't see anybody competing with the NFL, and it's probably going to fail.
No, the NFL is the biggest league in the country and arguably the biggest league in the world.
Well, now, soccer, but
yeah, then you look at the Premier League in England. I think those are 1A, 1B, however you want to slice it. Now, I don't really take this league serious. I think it's kind of a little haha, like it's just a unique, like different kind of thing that's likely going to flop. Now, the only league that I think had an opportunity to survive was the XFL. So now The Rock owns it, Dwayne Johnson. He is now the owner of it, and it's going to come back in 2022, I believe. Now, before COVID hit, the XFL was doing pretty well. They had a contract with, I think it was ESPN and ABC. Their games were broadcasted and primetime games, and I actually bet on a couple games. Fun fact, Peter, fun fact. I bet on 6 XFL games before it shut down, and I went 6-0.
Wow. Maybe the other reason why the XFL got.
I bet the over in every single XFL game. No, I'm sorry. Or was it the under? Crap. Oh, I think it was the under. I think I bet the
man's like, I can't lose all this money from this one kid. Shut it down.
Every week I would, you know what? It might have been 9 games, whatever it was. For 3 weeks, I parlayed 2 or 3 games, and I bet I don't remember if it was the under or the over. And I won every single time. You could ask the people in my suite last year, because I looked at it and I was like, you know what? Like, I think it was the under. Because I'd be like, why is it like 60? Like, why is it like the total like 65? Like, half of these guys are scrubs. 3/4 of them are scrubs.
Sure, like, you're probably like
NFL
Vegas doesn't
cast-offs.
even. Yeah, you're probably like Vegas doesn't know what to do.
Exactly. And so I was like, under. And the under came in every single time. But that product was at least entertaining. I think the XFL has a better chance to survive than this fan control football thing. This is just another knockoff.
They got to
arena
get names,
football.
though. They have Johnny Manziel, but they got to get names.
And Manziel was like, yeah, that's what the XFL needs. 100%. Like they need to somehow get, I don't know, a guy like RG3 who looks like his NFL career is done, stuff like that. Because if you get quarterback room of, I don't know, RG3, Team Tebow ever decides to quit baseball, if you get Andrew Luck back, like, I don't, if you want to swing for the fences here, stuff like, I don't know. I think that would be very interesting to see if Andrew Luck played in the XFL. It would never happen, but it all comes down to the players.
True. One can only hope, I guess.
One can only hope. You have any topics on the NHL here before we get into our game picks of the week?
One thing, Pastrnak got moved down to the second line for the Bruins. That's just a wake-up call for the second, third, fourth line because our 5-on-5 regular are absolutely awful. I heard a stat somewhere a few days ago that they're even, and they're 10-3 or something with second overall best record in the East, and they should be like middle of the pack with that numbers. So I think the perfection line with Bergeron, Pastrnak, and Marchand should be broken up a little bit. Cassie's done this a lot too, like late in the year, but maybe it's just a wake-up call for the second, third, fourth line being like, come on, what are we doing? Because the Bruins are way too dependent on the power play lately. That's how they've won most of the games.
So like you mentioned, Cassidy's done this before.
Yeah,
right?
but it's usually like later in the year where it's like, all right, guys, we got to get in the playoffs. We got to actually score points in the playoffs. But it's really early this time.
I still think the Bruins are in good shape. I mean, in my opinion, they've had a really good start here. And Pastrnak, granted, you move him down a line, but if it helps the rest of the team.
Yeah, it's not on him. It's just on
yeah, exactly.
Else.
Like it's kind of like we're going to do this for the betterment of the team kind of thing.
And it's always him too.
And we're going to talk about where the Bruins are playing on Sunday.
Lake Tahoe.
Get our game picks. Lake Tahoe, baby. Want to get into our game picks?
Let's do it.
All right, Peter, who's your pick for Friday, February 19th?
My pick is the Denver Nuggets over the Cavs. So the Cavs are on an 8-game losing streak. And the Cavs are an absolute mess. Andre Drummond's not going to play until he gets a trade suitor, which I don't even know where it's going to be. And Colin Sexton's absolutely unhappy with the team, too. I think that team's an absolute shambles and maybe not have to rebuild again, but it's really, really bad. And I don't know what they're going to do.
Yeah, no, the Drummond situation is very interesting that you touched upon. He's likely going to get either bought out or traded. I still think Cleveland has some good pieces here. I like Colin Sexton a lot. Like I think he's going to be a really good player. But other than that, I think they have some big question marks. But the Eastern Conference isn't the strongest of the two conferences, so if you get lucky, keep drafting well, I guess maybe you can get better. But I agree with you. The Nuggets, I like Jokic. I like Jamal Murray. That's a good team. For me, anyway, I'm going to go with the 76ers over the Chicago Bulls. The Sixers have been struggling lately. They've lost 3 games in a row. But look, the Bulls, I'm sorry. I think the 76ers find a way to get back on track here. The Sixers have been the best team in the Eastern Conference. They're 18-10 currently. Lead the East by 1 game over the Brooklyn Nets. I like them over the Chicago Bulls. I think they finally end that losing streak and they finally start to get their gears going in the right direction now. Because if the Sixers can get the number 1 seed in the East, I think they're going to be really, really dangerous come playoff time.
Yeah,
Doc Rivers, he knows what he's doing.
I like that team, and that's disgusting to even say because we're Celtics fans. But Brent Brown to Doc Rivers is an actual big difference.
I agree with you. What about Saturday, February 20th?
So I like the Tampa Bay Lightning over the Dallas Stars. The Dallas Stars are on a 5-game losing streak. They're an absolute mess. And I think that the Tampa Bay Lightning are just going to waltz to the playoffs, and they're an absolute wagon, and nobody can touch them, and they're in the worst division possible, and it's not fair, and blah, blah, blah. Typical Bruins fan, always crying. But I picked the Lightning over the Stars.
You love that Tampa Bay Lightning team, huh?
Oh, yeah. Just going to win again.
It's Tampa Bay for you. That's how it goes. For me, anyway, I'm going to go to college hoops now. I'm going to go with Alabama over Vanderbilt. As crazy as it sounds, Peter, I know Alabama is known for their great football program under Nick Saban and the plethora of players that have come out of there in terms of football. But, man, their basketball team is really rolling. They're 17-5 on the year. They're 12-1 in conference play. They're on a 2-game win streak, and I think they take care of Vanderbilt. Alabama, I believe they're 8th in the country. They're a really good team. They're going to be a dangerous team come March Madness. I like them over Vanderbilt here, and I think they're on their way to being a potential number 1 seed. Believe it or
Really?
not.
Alabama?
They're like 8th in the country, man. They are rolling.
I'm not really a college guy until the NCAA tournament, but that's crazy.
Keep an eye on Alabama, Peter. Keep an eye on them.
The Saturday picks were our premium picks of the week.
Sunday, February 21st. What you think?
So I like the Nets Clippers over any number. So Matt, whatever you want to do. Brooklyn Nets offense is absolutely amazing. They've hit the over like so many times.
Yeah,
So
they've hit the over more than any team in the NBA. I think the Clippers are second.
they've hit the over 4 in their last 6 games, and then after that they had a 5-game stretch of hitting the over. And like you said, Kyrie Irving, Kevin Durant, James Harden, you can't go wrong there. And I bet them on Saturday the over for the Warriors Nets game because it was like at 240, and that's such an easy win too.
You got that W. The only thing that will question your pick is Paul George is hurt, but hopefully he'll be back by then. If he's back by then, I think it's a slam dunk.
Just give me Kawhi Leonard then. It doesn't matter. I know he's been out a few days too, but
George has been out. Yeah, he's been out 6 straight games or something like that, but hopefully he comes back. Me, Peter, I'm going to head over to Lake Tahoe, and I'm going to go with the Boston Bruins over the Philadelphia Flyers. So tell me a little bit about this matchup here that will be taking place on Lake Tahoe. Correct me if I'm wrong. It's going to act as a little bit of a knockoff Winter Classic kind of thing.
yeah. So there's another team playing also. It's the Colorado Avalanche and the Vegas Golden Knights, but they're having COVID issues, and I hope that it doesn't affect this game as well. But the Bruins and Flyers have been pretty clean up to this point.
So I like the Bruins here. Hopefully they'll change up the lines here. Really does something for the team. Have you seen the setup at Lake Tahoe?
No, but I've seen pictures. It looks pretty nice. It looks
It
like
looks pretty cool,
like you
yeah.
said, like a wannabe Winter Classic.
Yeah, it looks pretty cool. And based on the setting here, we're going to go with the Bruins over the Flyers here.
Hopefully they can keep winning. They're an absolute wagons.
All right, Peter, any closing thoughts here?
Thanks for all listening, and go baseball. Go watch some baseball.
Baseball is
training.
back. Thank you guys for listening. Catch us next week for episode number 9.
Follow us on all the social media platforms, and stay hot.